Well, hello there, friends, and welcome to the story of the week. Hope you've got you some coffee or your favorite drink, and you'd just like to take a little break and have a story. It's the month of January, and in the month of January, I'd like to tell you a story or two that might make us a little bit wiser, or a little more perceptive, maybe a little smarter. I don't know. We'll see. But welcome. Sit back. Take a few moments and just enjoy. Once upon a time, there was a man who got real dissatisfied with his lot in life. One reason he was dissatisfied is he never felt like he had enough money. He just couldn't make ends meet. He never could buy all the things he wanted to buy. He seldom had any change in his pocket. And he just was unhappy about not having enough money. One consequence in his mind of not having enough money is he never could find enough to eat. He always felt hungry. He didn't feel like he could buy enough food, and since he didn't have enough money, that just made him doubly dissatisfied with his life. So this hungry, in his mind, poor man was walking around, and he realized another thing that made him triply unhappy, and that is that he was lonely. He didn't know very many people in his town. He didn't have a girlfriend. He didn't have hardly any friends that he knew of. And so this lonely, hungry, in his mind poor man made a decision one day. He said, I know what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to go find God, and I'm going to complain to God about my situation. So he just put his jacket on, got his walking stick, and went walking down the road. Well, he went up the hill, down the hill, and around the hill or two, and down into a forest area. And the further he walked into that forest area, he stayed on the road, but he came to a place that seemed to be darker than normal and a little bit murkier than normal. And he was in the middle of all that darkness and that murkiness, and he heard a voice. And the voice said, Where are you going, man? And he looked over at the edge of the forest, and he saw there a great, gaunt wolf. And he said, I'm going to find God. And the wolf said, What for? And the man said, I'm going to complain to God. What are you going to complain about? He said, well, 3 things. Number 1, he said, I'm hungry all the time. I never can get enough to eat. And I think the reason is I don't have enough money. I'm just too poor to suit me. And number 3, I'm lonely. And when I find God, I'm going to complain about this hunger, and I'm going to complain about this poverty, and I'm going to complain about this loneliness. And the wolf said, well, man, when you find God, I'd like for you to complain for me too, because I'm always hungry. I just can't seem to get enough to eat. The man said, I tell you what, when I find God, I will complain for me and for you. And the wolf said, okay. So the man went walking on. Well, he went up the hill and down the hill and around the hill or two and down a little straight way, and he looked way up ahead in the road there, and he saw a strange sight. He saw a girl sitting by the side of the road, just crying her eyes out. The girl was at the end of a long driveway, and that driveway curved up a hill, and at the top of that hill sat a beautiful mansion. The man got close to the girl, and the girl looked up and said, hello, man. The man said, hello. The girl said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to find God. What for? She asked. He said, I'm going to complain. What are you going to complain about? And he told her 3 things. He said, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough to eat, and I'm lonely. And the girl said, well, when you find God, will you complain for me too? He said, what for? She said, I'm like you. I'm lonely too. She said, you see that big old mansion up on the hill? Yep, he said. She said, I live in that house, but I'm all by myself. And she said, I've got plenty of money, but she said, there's just nobody up there with me, and it just makes me so sad. I spend most of my days sitting by the road here crying. And the man said, I tell you what, when I get to God, if I find Him, I'll complain about me, and I'll complain about you too. And the girl said, oh, thank you. So the man walked on. He went up the hill, down the hill, around a hill or two, down a straight way. Directly he came to a river, and he had to walk up the river a little ways till he saw a bridge that was going to go across the river. right beside that bridge, there was a big, old, dried out tree. No leaves, just dry branches. He got near that tree, and the tree spoke to him and said, "Hello, man." The man said, "Well, hello." The tree said, "Where are you going?" And the man said, "I'm going to find God." "What for?" "I'm going to complain," said the man. "What are you going to complain about?" So the man told the tree about his complaints. Well, the tree said, "Well, when you find God, will you complain for me too?" "What about?" asked the man. The tree said, "I'm always thirsty. As you can see, I'm growing right beside a river here, but I can't seem to get my roots to the water. So would you complain for me?" The man said, "I sure will." And he walked on. Well, he went up the hill and down the hill and around the hill and in some straight areas, and directly he came into a very strange place that was unlike any of those other places he had been. He stopped there and looked around. He heard a voice. It said, "Hello, man." He said, "Hello. Who are you?" The voice said, "It's the Lord God." "What do you want?" The man said, "I've got to complain." "What about?" the voice asked. And the man complained. He complained about how poor he was, and about how hungry he was, and about how lonely he was. And he says, and while I'm at it, I want to complain for 3 other situations. And he explained that tree that didn't have enough water, and he talked about that girl that was lonely, and he talked about that wolf that was hungry. And God listened to that man, and God said, "Well, all right, man, I tell you what, you turn around and go back exactly the way you came, and I'm going to give you a blessing. I'm going to take care of your complaints." The man said, "Well, thank you." God said, "You're welcome." Well, the man turned around and started walking back, and he went down that straight way and around the hill and up and down the hill. Directly he came to that bridge and came across the water there, got to that tree, and the tree said, "Hey, man." The man said, "Hey, tree." The tree said, "Did you find God?" The man said, "I sure did." The tree said, "Well, did you complain?" "Yes, I did." "Did you complain for me too?" The man said, "I sure did. And God gave me a strange answer." "What was it?" the tree asked. The man said, "God told me to tell you that your problem is that right down where your roots ought to go into the water, somebody buried a big box full of gold. And if you can just get that box of gold out of the way, your roots can go right straight to the river and you can get all you want to drink." And the tree said, "Great, man." He said, "I don't need any gold. You just go down there and take that gold. You can have every bit of it and it'll solve your problem." The man said, "I can't do that." "Why?" said the tree. The man said, "I've got to get back home because God said He was going to bless me. And He told me to go back the same way I came. I can't." And the tree said, "Wait, man." But the man said, "I'm sorry, tree, but I've got to get back where I can get my blessing." And so the man left the tree, calling for him to come back and take its gold. Well, he walked that straight road for a while, then around a hill or two and up and down a hill or two. Directly he came to where that girl was sitting at the end of her driveway. And the girl said, "Hello, man." The man said, "Hello, ma'am." And the girl said, "Did you find God?" He said, "I sure did." She said, "Well, did you complain?" "Yes, I did." "Did you complain for me too?" "Yes, I did." "And He gave me sort of a strange answer for you." "What was it?" "Well, God told me to tell you that it wouldn't be very long, but that a young man about your age would come down this road walking, and that if you get to know him, the two of you could just link together, could get married, and could go up there and live in that big mansion on top of the hill and be happy ever after." And the girl said to the man, "Well, you're a man, aren't you?" "Well, yes." "How old are you?" And the man told her, and he was the exact same age as that girl. She said, "Well, great. This is the answer. You just come on up here, we'll get to know each other, and we'll probably get married, and we'll live in this house and be happy ever after. Just so come on up to my house." The man said, "I can't do that." Why? Said the girl. The man said, I've got to go down the road the exact same way I came back. God told me he was going to bless me and take care of my problems, so I'm sorry, I can't stay here. And the man left the girl at the end of the road to the mansion, sitting on the road, crying for him to come back. Well, he went a straight ways, a little ways, and up a hill and down a hill and around a hill or two, and directly he came to that murky spot in the forest. And a voice said, Hey, man. And he looked, and over there was that gaunt, great, gray wolf. And the wolf said, Did you find God? The man said, I did. The wolf said, Well, tell me about it. And the man told the wolf about the tree and the message for the tree. And he told the wolf the story about the girl and the message for the girl. And the wolf said, Well, did God give you a message for me too? And the man said, Well, he sure did, but it's a kind of strange message. What was it? Asked the wolf. Well, the man said, God told me that it wouldn't be too long that a man would come walking down this road and meet you, and that man would be so stupid he would not recognize a blessing if it was staring him in the face. And if you found a man that stupid, he would not deserve to keep on living, and you could eat him up and solve your hunger problem. And the wolf said, Who would I ever meet more stupid than you? And he ate the man up. And that's the end of that. Well, friends, thanks for coming to the Story of the Week. I hope you're a little bit wiser. I hope you have a blessed week, and I hope you realize it. And I hope to see you again next week for another story. This is Tommy Oakes. Good night.